What is up, Scaredy chat? We are back. I am Kaitlin Riley here with Monica Suriagi. A little bit later, we are talking to the hilarious Sara Schaefer, who is an amazing comedian. She just released her book, Grand, which is about some adventuring that she did that we are very excited for her to tell us more about. But for now, you have us. I don't ever know how to start these intros.
Just us.
But Monica and I were just talking about how people don't care about dream stories, but I care about dream stories and Monica cares about dream stories. So we're just going to, go out on a limb here and say, if you're still listening to our podcast, you care about dream stories. So Monica, you have had such a weird relationship with sleep over the years. You have sleep paralysis, so I'm always fascinated when you have a new dream. So what is your dream that you want to tell me about?
Okay, this one's nice and short. It's really just one little thing that happened. There's no plot. It was just a weird image. And I was just like, what? Like, what even does this mean? It was, okay. So I have a black cat. You all know by now. And if you don't, get on it because he's the best cat in the world. Don't even fight me on this. His name is Emo. Cat. He's the best cat.
We love.
He's very dog-like. He sits for treats. He's perfect. But yeah, his name is, because that matters.
He sits for treats. Adorable.
But yeah, he's a little black cat. Just standard black cat, yellow eyes, black cat. And he has a king-sized pink cat tower because he's spoiled. And I'm telling you, when the dream is 30 seconds long, it's 30 seconds long. Literally in my dream, Emo was sitting on his tower, as he does. He'll sit on it, like upright, and just look around. So he was sitting there, he was looking at me, very normal. And then another Emo, like Glitch in the Matrix, black cat, another black cat, walks by, but this cat's head is kind of like turned away, so it almost looks like it doesn't have a head. And it just walks by, well, they're both Emo in my consciousness, walks past Emo, reaches a paw up, grabs Emo's head, pulls it off, and puts it on its own head, and and walks away. That's it. That's the whole dream. That's it.
I'm sorry. Was this like violent?
No, it was like cartoony.
Oh God. Okay. You have to clarify that. That's horrible. It's just like, in one way it's funny, in another way that's horrible.
No blood. God. It was like the head like bounced a little bit, like it had some like animated movement to it.
And Emo's okay? Like, yeah. Or not? Okay.
And then the first Emo is just still sitting there, but now he doesn't have a head. And now the second Emo does have a head. That's it. That's the whole dream.
I don't love that. I feel like you're very chill about it. I think that would scare me a lot more than it's clearly scaring you. This actually reminds me, though, weirdly, of like a real situation that happened with my grandparents.
How could this possibly remind you of something real?
Well, okay, so just the idea of the dual cat situation. So this actually really happened to my grandparents. My grandparents used to have an orange cat named Pumpkin.
Cute. Perfect name.
Yeah, it's adorable. So they live in Queens, and at the Pumpkin has since passed away. No relation to this story. So they hear a noise in the basement, and they see Pumpkin, like, in the basement or whatever, freaking out. They're like, okay, cool. And they go upstairs. They, like, keep hearing Pumpkin or whatever, I guess, downstairs. And, like, what is the deal with this cat? Like, this cat is not like this. Turns out it wasn't actually Pumpkin. It was a cat that broke into their house that looked exactly like Pumpkin.
And replaced Pumpkin.
No, Pumpkin was fine. I don't know where Pumpkin was. I think Pumpkin was like hiding under the bed. I'm not sure if they found Pumpkin or if they found the other cat first. Like, you know what I mean? And how they figured out that was not their cat. But can you just imagine if because it's actually very realistic if a cat is to get into your house and be like just a black cat, like you're not going to automatically be like, that's not Emo. You know? Like, not right away.
If it's dark, yeah, I'm not going to know.
Right. Like, I mean, you eventually will figure it out because Emo's very specific. But, like, if you just were to be like, oh, I'm home, and then you saw, like, a cat sitting on your couch, I mean, that's a weird thing for Emo, but you wouldn't be like, clearly, that's not Emo, you know?
Until he'd killed me and replaced me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And if that didn't happen, you may never know.
Mm-mm. And only I would know because now Emo's me in this scenario. I am always operating under the assumption that something out there wants to kill me and replace me. I don't know what's so special about me, but
That's
they
true.
want to do it.
You do have this fear a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a thing that like kind of permeates into quite a lot of your dreams and your ideas, like this replacement idea.
Am I a narcissist?
No, I feel like there's. I hope not. I'm like laughing. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. There has to be some sort of a deeper fear that we just have not figured out what it means yet.
Yeah. What is the fear of being not like replaced in like a teen pop song, but like literally replaced by something? What does that fear represent?
I'm sure maybe the fear is that you feel like you're going to be replaced in your life by other people. Maybe it's literal, but like that feels, interesting. I don't really have that fear. Maybe I don't think that anyone would want my life that much.
I don't think anybody wants mine either, though. That's the thing. I feel like
you never know. I don't know, Monica.
I hope not.
I want your life.
Should we trade? Nobody will notice.
Nobody will know. It'll be fine. I feel like Emo would notice. Emo would be like, oh, it's the girl who gives me food sometimes, but not most of the time. I'm suspicious.
He is actually sitting up now. He's like, are you talking about me? But yes, he does still have his head. It's intact. Emo, come over here. No, you're not going to come all the way across the room. That's fine.
Okay. Amazing. Well, we're going to be talking to Sara Schaefer, who does have a very cool life, but don't steal her life.
All right, Scaredy Chat. This is a very exciting episode. I've been looking forward to this all week, even though, yes, we are recording this only on a Tuesday. But you all know Sara Schaefer. She is a hilarious comedian. You know her podcast already, The Sara Schaefer Shakedown. And if you haven't read her book, Grand, you're dumb. Got it on Amazon or something. Everybody meet Sara Schaefer.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Me. Yeah.
Sara, I'm so excited to talk to you, not just because you are hilarious, but because you sent perhaps the longest list of fears that we have received. So maybe almost as long as Monica and I.
It wasn't even the complete list.
I was like, wow, all these are relatable, but man, there are many here. So very exciting for us because this is clearly like, just the perfect person to speak with.
Yeah, and we were left with healthy questions as well.
I read the description and was like, okay, yeah, I got it.
Perfect. Amazing. Okay, well, Sara, I mean, do you just want to take us into sort of the fear that you came to the table with? I know that you had a very long list, but is there any that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously was a very scared child, which I didn't identify as a scared child, but looking back, it was...
The list was
dominated my life. And I think I'll talk about two that, well, there's one main one, but I'll just mention the other as sort of an appendix to it. There's lots of funny stories and fears that, like, I think you guys on your podcast talk about, like, movies and things that really freaked you out and stuck with you or whatever. And I think what I took from that was like things that bled over in where other people had to change their behavior for you.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, those were dogs. I was afraid of dogs and the ocean. The ocean is the quick one, which is just, and again, looking back, I feel bad because of what I put people through, Oh,
no.
But at the time, it was just the way it had to be, and with the ocean, my family would go to the beach every year in North Carolina. And, I don't know why they gave in, but I hated the ocean water. I liked being on the beach, but I did not like the ocean water. And so I would demand that a baby pool be brought down to the beach. This is like when I'm really little, like 4 or 5 years old. And that it had to be filled with fresh water. Fresh water.
And they abided this wild
I guess
request.
There was one year where like they got an ocean front or very close to the ocean cottage. And so it wasn't that big of a deal. Like we would rent, we still do, my family, this is like a tradition. They would rent houses. And they were close enough where they could drag it down. And, you know, I mean, there's a picture of me and my little sister in the baby pool. We were very young. And I think my parents did it because it was a way of containing us on the beach and
Smart.
kind of like not letting us just play in that. And we were happy. And then they could go about their day. So that is how that worked, I think. And I think they maybe put an inch, you know, one bucket full of water did the trick and we were good to go.
I can't believe you demanded fresh water though. What can
I
you
love
just
that.
Yeah.
Water. I don't
You
know.
were,
I
you were a
don't
bougie little
remember.
baby.
I don't remember, but I was very particular.
I love it.
But the big one, I think that I look back and I go, wow, that really must have been difficult for my family to deal with was dogs. And this is back in the 80s when people would just let their dogs roam the neighborhood. You know, nowadays it's like, no, my dog has to be carried on my body at all times, you know.
Yeah.
Leash laws, things like that. But back then you just let your dog loose. And because of that, my parents had to be on surveillance at all times because it would just waiting for the bus on the bus stop. I would just be so freaked out. You know, my mom had to check and make sure there were no dogs around.
Oh.
I was particularly afraid of big dogs. I still am a little bit afraid of big dogs. And all of this is because I was attacked by a dog.
I was gonna say, where's the fucked up dog story that caused this?
Yeah. So now I was actually working on stand up about this for a while. And I realized that people just couldn't, they were like angry at me. Like, how dare you speak ill of my son?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm not talking about your son.
I'm talking about another dog that's
talking about a
probably
dog
dead at
from-
this point, right?
Right.
Like,
From 35 years ago. It's definitely dead. But I joked that like, okay, look, if you were there, you probably would have said, oh, that Labrador retriever licked your face and wanted to play. But no, the dog knocked me over. I mean, I was like 2 years old and it knocked me over and it got all up in my face. And I was too little to understand. And it as an already kind of nervous, scared child, it set in place like concrete. And, you know, I was really, really afraid of dogs. Like just, you know, see one coming down the street and just literally jump into my parents' arms.
I mean, it makes sense. You were tiny,
Yeah.
and at that point, dogs are giant monsters. You know, they're
Yeah.
huge when you're little.
Well, and the fear lasted until I was bigger than them.
Aw.
So that wasn't good.
Is
But
there ever a point where like dogs like really affected something you were trying to do?
I mean, I have a vivid memory of there was this really big, now this is childhood, but like I remember, and this kind of set my parents, you know, into being like policing the neighborhood. And there was a really big white dog that kind of looked like a wolf. You know, one of those dogs is like, is that a wolf? Like, you know,
Are
like,
we in danger?
yeah, like, did you go up to Canada and bring back a wolf pup?
You really can't tell the difference, honestly, between wolves and dogs in some cases.
Yeah.
Like, you really can't.
Right. I mean, people are like, oh, I have a wolf dog. I'm like, you have a wolf.
How do
have
you
a
know?
wolf. Right.
It's not both. It's one or the other.
It's like
Right,
that
and-
scary story to tell in the dark where the girl adopts what she thinks is a dog, but is actually a
Right.
rat. It's like that, but it's wolves.
Yeah.
So
One day they're going to turn on you. And so anyway, this dog was roaming the bus stop, you know, and I just would freeze and the other kids had to like protect me from the dog.
Aw.
I would make my mom stand there and wait to protect me from potential dogs. And of course she didn't want to do that. And none of the other kids wanted my mom at the bus stop.
Yeah, that's
So-
kid time.
Yeah, so that's an early memory, but I think what also made the fear even worse was, and I can tell you guys are young, and I don't know if you ever went through this in childhood, but back in the 80s there was a real terror and panic about rabies.
Yes.
Like,
We were just talking about
we-
rabies. We were just talking
Yeah.
about rabies.
what do you do
every
to fix it? Nothing.
Every animal had rabies. You know, you're just like, there's a foaming at the mouth
Yeah.
raccoon or dog in the neighborhood. And like, so I just thought, and I remember maybe around that time, I remember at that time, there was a rabid dog on the loose, you know,
Oh,
and
no.
they would tell us if you see a dog acting strangely, if it's foaming at the mouth. Well, I'm a little kid. I'm like, I see drool. That dog has rabies.
The dog wants to kill me.
I probably had a number of dogs put down, just like
That dog foaming at the mouth. I saw.
False
Yeah,
accusations of rabies.
Goody I saw Doggy Proctor with the devil. You know, I was
Yeah.
readily accusing. No, I don't think that ever happened. That never happened. I never had a
You
dog
don't
killed.
think. You're not sure.
I know of.
We hope.
Yeah, we're not going to cancel you on this podcast. So, you know,
no,
over
but-
dogs. So,
Yeah, and so that changed my behavior. I would definitely be more nervous if a friend of mine had a big dog. I wouldn't want to go to their house to play. And you know, even as into adulthood, like it has, you know, if somebody has a big dog, I am nervous. Even little dogs, if they're really aggressive and bark a lot and jump on you when you come in, I'm a little uncomfortable. And they can tell these dogs no.
They know.
They know. So that makes them even more crazy.
Yeah,
around
they're
me.
like, I'm gonna win you over. You're gonna like me.
Right. And I get irritated, you know, sometimes, you know, when I would walk around. I used to live in Silver Lake, around in Los Angeles. I don't know if you guys are in LA or New York. Sorry.
the reservoir.
Yeah. So, you know,
Yeah.
the reservoir has that path and, you know, and there's people who don't have their dog on leashes. And I'm like, you know, it's not, I get that your dog is just so incredible. But, you know, it kind of hinders people like me, like our enjoyment of that space because I'm now like on high alert and I'm like crossing to the other side. And I truly am like, I get made fun of sometimes. We're like, they're like, Sarah, it's a yellow lab. I'm like, it's a golden retriever. I'm like, and I've learned to like pretend that I'm not afraid of dogs. And so I'll be like, who's a good boy? Like, I don't know how to talk to him properly.
Defensive.
That's
cute
how I am
voice.
around babies. I'm like, I don't know how
Yeah.
to talk to you. You're so cute. Ah, love you.
I mean, like, that's a good puppy, but I'm like not doing,
Yeah,
I can
no.
see other people acting normal around the dog. And I'm like, I know I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not.
And you can sense the fear coming off of you.
Yeah. And like, you know, there's a lot of like people are really sensitive about, you know, their pets, obviously, and I understand. But like the conversation around like pit bulls and stuff like that, you know, and I'm like, I get it. I'm sure your dog is truly an angel and it's humans that made, you know, the problem. I understand that, but like, I don't want to be around your pit bull.
But I still don't want to be here.
I'm scared.
That's valid. That is valid. Because I agree.
agree.
Like,
Yeah.
pit bulls, I think, are some of the cutest, just like dogs in appearance.
They are
You know?
really, their faces are really cute. Like, I love watching videos. Like, this is how I explain it. Like, look, I love dogs. And by the way, there's a sort of PS to all this. I
You
had
have
a
6
dog.
pit bulls.
I
now.
have 6. It's exposure therapy. I'm okay. We had a dog later in life. Like me and my little sister begged for a dog, even though I was kind of afraid of them still. But I wanted a little dog. Like I didn't want a big dog. I wanted a little dog, and we ended up getting this little dog named Molly. And my family was just not really a dog family, and like Molly was fucked. Like when we got her, this dog was mentally deranged, like truly. And it was honestly beautiful in a way because she was so afraid of us. And I was like, we speak the same language. And so she and I actually got along okay because we were like, we approached each other with extreme caution.
Mutual
And-
fear breeds friendship.
Right. We ended up being pals. Molly was like, we loved her so much, but you know, we were not good. Molly was not sleeping in the bed with anybody ever. You know, it was like, Molly, you go in the laundry. I mean, I think this was also a time period thing where like, you would never say you were a dog parent.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody, this is again, the 80s, early 90s. So we had Molly, but I was saying like, I love dogs. Theoretically, even big dogs and stuff, like, you know, I always joke like, you know, we all love bears,
In theory.
but you don't want to be in the same room as a bear. You
No,
know, like,
no.
I'm gonna be honest.
I saw The Revenant.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I
Oh my
love
God,
bears.
Also, I just, okay, I had a friend send me this article recently that the headline was like, girl calls mother while being eaten alive by bear.
No, they don't say by bears. They just say eat it alive. Bob just sent me this article, so that's
So
why
they
I
don't,
was-
they don't say the bear part?
No, they don't say the bear part in the
Oh my
headline. That's why
God.
when I was reading it, I was like, Monica, what the fuck are you saying?
Oh, I thought the bear part was in the title.
oh my God, that's awful. Did she survive?
No.
No.
Basically, no. It's fucked up. It's the article is very disturbing. Like, apparently
Oh.
there was this girl that was fishing with her dad, and they were already done for the day, and they left, but they forgot a piece of equipment, so they went back and were immediately mauled by a bear. And
Oh.
she called her mom like 3 times while it was happening. And the mom is like hearing her daughter
No.
talking, but the bear noises.
And Sarah,
yeah.
if we had to know this story, you had to know this
Oh
story.
my God,
Sorry.
that's worse than Grizzly Man.
Yeah. Oh, Grizzly. No, that's pretty. I think that's almost.
Grizzly Man
worse.
is so fucked up, and I loved it.
I know. I know, because he's
I
like,
know
he
this. What's
forms.
this?
Oh my God, Monica. You don't know Grizzly. This is why I'm not
Oh,
sure. I don't
Monica.
know. I love animals. Like, I'm a big animal person, but not sure about bears. I don't
You're
know.
not gonna die for them.
Not gonna die for a bear. You can explain Grizzly Man if you want, because it is.
Yeah, it's a guy who was obsessed with bears. His name's Timothy Treadwell, and he did die for those bears. That's all you need to know. You just watch it. It's actually like a really, it's not a spoiler alert. Like, it was in the news and all this stuff, but it's a really interesting documentary. And it was put together because he had a lot of footage that he filmed of the bears and stuff. But Werner Herzog directed the film, and so, you know, it's worth it. But anyway, yeah, pit bulls make me nervous. Big dogs that have a big beefy body.
Yeah.
And a big bark and stuff. And, you know, one time I went over to somebody's house and they were like, oh, you know, she has a pit bull. And I was like, yeah, but she's a real sweetie. I get in there and immediately the dog starts fighting to the point where, like, I thought a dog was going to die. And I was like, I can't. I'm out.
No, I gotta go.
And if it's like a new friend, you're like, oh, like how
Friendship
chill do
over.
I
Friendship
have
over.
to be before I have to leave this party?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I went one time when I first moved to LA, I was like couch surfing, and I ended up having to, like, I had a few days where I didn't have anywhere to stay, so I rented an Airbnb, and it was one of those where you have your own. I had my own entrance, but I had to share a bathroom. It was like a weird situation, and so at one point I come outside, and at this point I've come to understand that, you know, I knew they had dogs, which I was fine with. They were small dogs, but what they didn't disclose to me in advance was that they were, like, also taking care of another dog. And so there was like 4 dogs in this house.
That's too many.
And it wasn't like a completely figured out situation. And so I come out of my room at one point, and all 4 dogs come running to me. Nerve-wracking, even though they're all these fluffy Pomeranian types, you know, like, I mean, bigger than, I don't know what they were. Some maybe huskies or something, but they were like collies. I'm also not good at naming the
I
the
don't know
brands.
dog breeds. Whatever you're saying is right.
Pomeranians and Huskies could not look more different.
Okay, whatever. They're fluffy. They're going nuts. They're running towards me, and I guess they felt competitive. The new dog was like causing issues, and so one of the dogs attacks the other dog, like vicious attack, like blood, and it's all happening right in front of me. And the owner comes running over, and she's like trying to rip the dog apart. And I'm like, I ain't fucking helping. I'm not putting my hand down, and I don't know you. I don't know. I'm not putting my hand in this. I don't know how to help, so I might make it worse. I'm always one of those people like,
not your circus, not your monkeys.
Right. I shouldn't try CPR. I'm actually going to kill you if I do. Or whatever. So, I do need to learn CPR. That's something everyone should learn. But
we should learn. I don't know it either, but I always think that like we should learn.
Take a course.
I did learn it. I have no idea how to do it now.
It's easy to forget. You got to keep right. I did learn it like in college or something. You got to keep it refreshed though.
You got to keep trying to save people so you don't forget how to do it.
So the dogs are being separated. Now, I don't know if you've ever been around a dog that like gets stressed and it like releases like its anal gland juices.
Oh God,
truly
that's awful.
One of the worst smells I've ever smelled in my life.
What even
overtakes the room?
Monica has a cat. She doesn't know.
I have a cat. I don't know what's going on.
It was one of the worst smells I've ever smelled, and I was just like, it was so chaotic, and I'm just frozen. And she's like, this woman, she's like, she's holding one of her dog that has been attacked. You know, the other dogs are just sort of like, okay, it's over. Who cares? Like they're on with their day. And she's holding the dog that was attacked, and she's looking at me and she's like, would you mind calling my wife? And I'm like, and because they need to get this dog out of here. You know, now I'm in the middle of like dog owner drama. And she's like, can you please? Because she didn't want to let go of her dog long enough to call. It was really weird. And so now I'm involved, and I am having to call and be like, there was an attack. You need to come home.
No.
And the wife was like clearly the level-headed one. And was like, she was like, I am so, the one that was there was not apologizing. She was just like only worried about her dog. And
her child.
So anyway, they ended up giving me a night free because they were so embarrassed by the situation. And I was like, well, also you have to understand that like, I'm probably the worst person for that to happen to.
I'd be like, can you give me $200 so I can stay elsewhere, please?
Yeah. I wanted to leave. I was like, I don't know if I can stay in here anymore. But anyway,
did you have to touch any dogs in this altercation?
No, they were jumping on me, and that's when the attack happened. I just like backed up against my door and was like, oh.
Oh no. I feel like these things seek out people that are afraid. You know?
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't care about dogs, this may have not even ever happened.
I know. And I mean, now the good news is my neighbors who like I kind of share, I'm on the same property, like, and we're sort of a pod. My landlords are our friends or whatever, and we're sort of a family.
Oh, that's
very nice. And they got a puppy last year. And they were actually really like, it ended up working out because they have a doggy door on their house, and they wanted a dog that would fit through it easy. So they were like, we don't think we want a big dog anyway. And I was like, I can't tell you what kind of dog to get, but just here's my deal. I'm
my
like,
history.
I respect you, whatever. And I was like, but just understand that like, if your vision is for all of us to be interacting and for me to want to, I was like, a bigger dog is going to be harder for me to deal with. And, but they ended up, they got a rescue, and it was this little miniature poodle.
Aww.
And oh my God, I'm in love.
Yes, mini
You're
poodles.
healed.
He's my little buddy. He comes over and stays here, and when they're out of town, and he sits in my lap, and his name is Charlie, and he's a dream. He's a really good dog, and it's a nice little like, okay, get over the fear. I'm much more friendly around other dogs now.
Oh,
What
Charlie.
what a
Yeah.
beautiful story. It kind of reminds me of like those 90s movies where it's like a person and a dog don't have a friendship and then they form a friendship, healing both
An
of their trauma.
unlikely friendship. Yeah, and heal our
Yes.
trauma. That's right. We're healing our trauma together. There was also that movie, Cujo, the Stephen King
Yes.
movie, which, I mean, oh my God, now I'm having memories of that. That was at the same time that the peak dog fear. And that movie, I mean, every
That's not
dog
gonna
to me
help.
was
No.
Cujo. I really
Oh.
believed that every dog was gonna jump up on your car and be like, and like it is a
fucked
truly
up.
terrifying movie.
It's unfortunate that sometimes the depictions of dogs really are like, okay, I'm going to be afraid of this now. Like Cujo is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's valid because if Cujo gets you, he's going to rip your fucking face off.
Yeah, Cujo was no fucking joke. That dog was out for blood. Okay, I have this is a really dark thought, and I'm gonna regret it.
No, do it.
I'm
It's
gonna
literally all we
regret
talked
saying it
about.
because I don't want to put this in other people's heads, but I've never told anybody this. Oh, I think I told my husband.
Okay, this is very special.
I have a fear, like, what if when you die and you go to heaven? I always think about, like, first of all, do I believe in a literal pearly gates where they have a clipboard and they're like in or out? No, but sometimes I was raised in that, so like I can't help but think about it sometimes as a symbolic way of policing my own morality in the here and now. I'll think about what they're gonna say when you die, and they go, "Oh, you get to go to heaven or hell." And sometimes it'll be like you get there, and I always think of scenarios where it's not what you thought. They're like, "Well, you used 70,000 rolls of paper towels in your life,
It's me.
and you were so wasteful, and you killed so many trees. Sorry, you're going to hell." So I think about stuff like that. One I thought of recently, which is so fucked up. What if you die and you go to the pearly gates and they're like, "Hey, so you guys didn't know, but dogs, it was torture. You tortured them. They hate being pet. Every time they barked, they were like, please let me go. Kill me now." Like, what if dogs,
I had no idea where this was going.
like,
I
what
thought
if dogs
I
are
knew.
being tortured? What if they hate, they're like, dogs love us. What if they're in an abusive relationship and they're just being like,
Help me.
like, what if? We
Bro.
don't know. They can't talk.
We don't know. There's no proof. Either way, we don't know. So, in your list, another fear is the song Groove is in the Heart. Please tell us why you are afraid of this song.
Groove is in the Heart is actually a terrifying, creepy song. So I'll give you the backstory real quick.
Yeah.
And it actually involves a couple other fears on my list. One of which was the movie 3 Men and a Baby, which a lot of people understand why that movie is scary because there's apparently a ghost boy in it. And
It's a-
Monica.
It's a cardboard cutout. I've done extensive.
Hang on, don't spoil it. God, you should have told her.
I'm so
All right.
sorry.
Okay,
She would have Googled it. I know.
Okay,
I know.
but back then we didn't have Google, okay? So it was
Yeah.
going around at school. They were like, in the movie 3 Men and a Baby, there is a ghost of a boy that was killed on set. Like, that's what they say. And they tell you, because this was in the days of Blockbuster and renting VHS tapes. And they're like, in this scene, and whatever. So this is literally like a meme being passed around, or conspiracy theory being passed around verbally. I'm telling you guys, back when we didn't have electricity. Like, that's how I'm talking to you. Sorry.
That is okay.
So we go home, and my little sister and I, we were like, there's no way that's real. But we were intrigued. Which, by the way, listing all those fears and being such a scared kid, my favorite genre is horror. I love scary movies. So anyway, and if it's not scary enough, I get mad. So that's a weird thing that's happened in adulthood. Probably some connection there mentally. It's how I probably release my fears or whatever. But anyway, we brought the movie back, and we went to that scene, and sure enough, there he was. And you don't have the kind of fine-tuned control that you have now with fast forward and rewind and stuff. And so it was absolutely terrifying. I thought ghosts were fake. I thought I was in on the fucking game.
Oh.
Now all bets are off. This shit is real. I'm going to die. I'm so scared. And so that night,
Poor thing.
my sister and I are like laying in bed, and we share a room, and we like could not fall asleep. We were so fucking scared.
No.
And so we were like, let's put on some music to try and make us less scared. Because we used to like sing songs when we were scared, like My Little Pony Lives in a Forest. Like we were like, what's the stupidest like girly song that wouldn't be scary?
That's a terrifying song. I just want to point that out. So scary.
Yep. So now we put on, we had a little boom box. I had a tape, D-Light. I put on Groove is in the Heart. And at first we're like, yeah, this is a groove. You know, this is like making us not scared of the ghost boy anymore. And then it gets, and it's got that, which is starting to feel a little trippy and weird.
Good. That was so good.
And then it gets to like the sort of breakdown in the middle, like dun 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 dun, and then there's this banshee noise, and it goes, and it's fucking scary. Play the song tonight.
No.
Oh no.
In the dark.
No, I won't.
And tell me it's not a scary song. I dare you.
I feel like I only know the chorus where that woman is like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just like
In the
chaos.
heart, I. Astronomical.
It's
you know?
chaos. That song is chaotic.
Moving in the heart, I. Moving in the heart.
You're great at that.
But then that part where it breaks down and it goes,
No.
like in the background, it's like some kind of fucking demon animal.
You know how
It's
in like
so scary.
It's so scary. Oh no.
you know
I
how
get
in
it.
like
I get it
horror
now.
movies today, there's like always or not even horror movies, but just movies in general. It's like, let's do a slowed down version of a famous pop song. Like, you know, Toxic by Britney Spears, slow down.
Yeah.
Like one day they're gonna use that and it's gonna be so unsettling. It's gonna be like
Groove
Final
is in the
Destination 8.
heart,
Exactly.
I.
That's great.
Stab,
It's really
stab,
so good. Exactly. I think we should pitch that to somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Whole IP now is just spooky Groove is in the Heart song. So
Yeah, who owns that? Who owns the IP?
yeah,
to
who
that
who
song?
owns it? We gotta do it. They
I
don't know
but
yet.
you know, that's a real
Oof.
scary time in my life. You know, look back on it and I go, I still don't like that song. When I hear it, I get a little spooked.
Ugh, it is spooky. And also, I
Yeah.
didn't know about the ghost boy in that movie. That's spooky too.
I'm sorry I
Now, if
ruined
you
it.
look it up online, you're gonna go, "Oh my god, that's so obvious what that is." But just like imagine not being able to like zoom in and look at it and like really figure it out. It's just like fleeting, and you're like, "Oh my god, there's a fucking." like,
To be fair, it is weird that a cardboard cutout of a person somehow made it into the final cut of a movie
Yeah,
where it wasn't
it's-
supposed to be.
and it was like a cardboard cutout of I think Ted Danson.
yeah, it's like okay.
So it like doesn't look even like a boy if you can like really zoom in on it. But
I love it.
my memory is different than the reality. When I look it up
Yeah.
now, I'm like, that's not what I remember seeing.
He had like dark hair and like no eyes in your memory, like
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Yeah,
And that
He's
is
like
the
standing
inspiration for the
behind a
ring.
curtain. Kind
yes,
of.
that's exactly
Ooh.
It's
why.
really scary.
Why was it there though? Like, okay, sure, it's a cardboard cutout, but like,
I
why
just
didn't you move it?
Lost my shit. Stuff like that, like, you know, where it was, I could try to work my way around. I'll go, well, maybe, because then people were like, because I'm like, ghosts aren't real, you know, and somebody's like, well, no, the boy is real, but he died right after that. You know, they'll say like he died on set. Like they would
Why
change
is
the
this kid
story.
here? Why is this kid here while we're making this movie?
Right. Either way, it's like, why is that? Right. It's like something's up.
He was
It's 3
there.
men and a baby, not 3 men and a boy.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Sarah, for being with us
Thank
today.
you,
'Cause
guys.
you are hilarious.
Oh, this was a delight. So are you guys.
Oh, yay. Where can our listeners
you.
find you on the internet?
My username is Sara Schaefer 1 across all platforms.
So you can't fuck it up.
So just Google Sara Schaefer. Even if you spell it wrong, you'll find me eventually.
And to everybody out there also, just pet your dogs if you have one, but if you don't feel like you have to. That's the moral.
Thank you so much for joining us here today on Scaredy Chat. We hope you were a little scared and maybe a little relieved about your fears. And if you're having fun listening to this podcast, please rate and review and subscribe so you never miss it and you're ready with us every week. And hey, make sure you follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at scaredychat_podcast. And maybe you have a fear and you're wondering if other people are afraid of it too? Well, we probably are, but you should email us your fears at story@scaredychatpod.com and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. Till next time, Scaredy Cats. Bye! Scaredy Chat was developed and hosted by Kaitlin Riley and Monica Moore-Suriagi. Produced by Jeff Swimmer. Editing and sound design by Fitz Harris. Theme music by Eric Fashingbauer with samples by Jeff Zahn and Jack Lenz. And Gail Gilman is the executive producer.